Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to blogtalkradio.com. This episode is going to be Tell It Like It Is with Tim. Tim's going to tell it like it is and how he sees it from his point of view. Tim has been doing these radio shows for a few weeks now, sharing the New You, New sound. New you. And letting people know how to become more aware and make better choices and support the all-natural environment that supports all of us. Tim has been sharing views and excerpts from Dwayne the Great Writer.
So I was thinking about the real universes and how it's not a physical thing, invisible, and how our human minds can't even imagine how it actually seems to be. But we have these comparisons of, like, here on in this physical with wars and brutalitarian authoritarians and all these things that we experience, diseases and emotions, and I was thinking about trying to imagine being a free being of a real light, if it's all light, and that we can do anything we want as long as we're not interfering with others. Trying to imagine what would it be that a person would even be doing in the real universes. Does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about, what they think it would be like to be in the real universes?
Yeah, Tim, that's a fun subject to talk about. And the way I see it is, well, first thing I saw was yesterday morning. There was the Sandy Bob show. We called in a bit early, and Bob shared a real side experience he had that morning, where he asked Ribazar and the real universal guides before he went to sleep how he could recognize. He asked them to show him how he could recognize the real universes and the isness life is. And so he was shown by Ribazar that instead of hearing the sound, and if everybody pays attention, like especially at nighttime when it's quiet, you can hear that there is a sound to this physical level here. Each level of life has different sound at each place in life. And so here there's like a ringing sound that I hear. So this is what I was seeing as I heard Bob telling his story. And so Ribazar told him, instead of hearing the sound, you should let the sound come from you instead of coming to you. Therefore, you're like the isness where everything comes from you. And it was a cool kind of view to have. And so what I see is in the real universe is, I had an experience one time where I just saw myself as this light. It was just pure white light, and that's what I was. And there was no questioning it. I just knew that that's what I was, and it was a really, really cool experience, really wonderful. And so that's what you do in the real universe, is you just be light with all of life. And yeah, you might see things in like certain ways, obviously not like with physical eyes, but you can do whatever you want there. But you won't have the personal self at all, because here, we have we decide this personal life, and we just have that while we're here, and so we can have this idea that we are a free being of real light, and we can even recognize this at times. But once you see that all the time, and you're ready to leave your physical body, there's no question or doubt within yourself that what you really is, which is a free being in real light and real universes. So when you get to that point and you decide to enter the real universes, you decide the journey and you go on the journey and you get there. Once you're there, you'll know what to do. And so maybe trying to consider what you would do here from the personal self in this material world, it seems a bit funny because we're so used to doing something. We don't just want to, you're always wanting to do stuff while you're here. I mean, some people, everybody does different things. Some people, they go and sit and meditate for hours and hours every day, but they're still doing something. They're still focusing on something. But what I see is that in the real universe is you just have a real light where you're just light, and you can explore and do whatever you want because the is endless, and but there just be this pure sincerity everywhere that just is all around with whatever you is deciding to see of this isness, and you can just keep exploring the isness without having any of these awfully encompassing restrictions of the five bodies here. So it's hard to say it, but that's a view.
Yeah, that sounds like that's what it is a view, and then this endlessness to explore and what the mind can't even imagine. Who knows? I was thinking of things like, well, what do? You just create universes and planets and creatures and all kinds of things. Well, maybe for everybody, who knows what they want to do. But, it's just something to wonder about until a person gets to, like Dwayne in his books talks about the Blue Sky Island and his journey to the all is.
Well, Tim, we don't want to really, I personally don't see that I want to be trading universes and worlds and karma, really. And the Blue Sky Island, I haven't actually read the book yet, but Dwayne referred to it a bit in book 2, and that was like an adventure within creation to, his journey to the is. So, we're going to have a lot of fun on the way there, and on the real side, I can see that the things are going to change, and we are going to have a real adventure at some stage, so... we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Main thing is to not have to keep coming back to this bunch of existence in these psych planes where all this authoritarianism and all the things that give us comparisons to the real universes, that stuff that isn't there and wouldn't be happening. It's just also much to wonder about this journey.
Yeah, well, if you're wondering, you're kind of, you're like projecting a future, kind of, and when you're projecting a future, that's, unless you decide differently, you're going to experience that future, and if you keep projecting it, you can even become attached to it, which is where, like Dwayne says, people are already setting themselves up for future lifetimes here. Like he refers to his girlfriend of 30 years, saying that she's already projecting future lifetimes with her grandchildren, and he's seen it on the real side and things like this. So what I see is that, it's a lot of there's like an unknown, but I don't really focus on what that unknown could or couldn't be. I just try to like stay focused on what I can do now to see more, so that when I get into the next position, I'll be, I'll have the awareness to be now and decide something that makes sense with the whole of life. So
yeah. You mentioned position, and Dwayne talks about the universal position that seems to be about the real universes. You think the universal position is a viewpoint, or?
Well, my understanding is just it's a position. Universal positioning is you just decide a position that makes sense, and you stand with it, and yeah, you just be with that position. You've decided wherever it is in life, whether it be in creation or even the real universes. But the universal position Dwayne refers to, I see, is it's more so a place where many individuals can be together, can position themselves together to collectively focus on the isness life is, and therefore, instead of walking around and everybody here on the earth, their focus is supporting the destruction of the earth, and their focus is surviving, and they don't have any concern that they're destroying the earth, which supports them and all life here, because that's just how they've been indoctrinated. And the world controllers, they control everything here. It's their planet, really, and they're destroying the planet. And so everybody that serves them and what they're doing, they're all destroying the planet too. But if there was a position, say, somewhere where everybody was collectively focusing on becoming more aware and recognizing their real awareness, and when you walk past someone, instead of seeing how their focus is on their personal life and surviving here, or some kind of created distortion that they've been brainwashed with, instead of seeing all that, you can just say, you to someone, and they'll say it back, and you smile and go on your merry way, and everybody's got this wonderful collective focus on seeing more, and with the universal position or whatever they were seeing and deciding would be really cool. And then very quickly people would just continue to see more of the environment that supports them to do that. It's like in the past, the masters and gurus, they went to caves and lived on their own because there was just a natural environment all around them, and they could just focus on that and see more in that way. But now we've got to the point where the whole planet is so poisoned, polluted, distorted, and the collective unawareness is just everywhere here, and there's just too much going on to just sit back and let it happen. It's time to do something, and this is where Dwayne's decided this huge adventure for lots of people or anyone to decide to be a part of. So it's really cool. And yeah, always into the unknown, and we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, there seems to have been a countless number of ways that things could be. And then you look at it like, is this the way that it's supposed to be to learn lessons, to be able to get out of these psych realms into the real universes? Because it's like, why would there be reptilians in the way they are? There could have been a whole bunch of different ways, it seems, that they could have been. Well, we see that, supposedly how they were going through experiences that made them the way they are. But those experiences, too, could have been different experiences than they actually are. And then there'd be whole different viewpoints or actions. This authoritarianism of them having an attitude of they want to be looked up to or seem better than or and control and use, and it just makes you wonder if this was a necessary thing that is actually makes happen, so that we have the experiences to know the difference of how to be in the real universes compared to this psych realm stuff. Because maybe once upon a time, which is all the same as now, we were reptilians for maybe a zillion years or something like that, or we could have been any races in this psych realm stuff, in this endlessness, all going through all different kinds of experiences for this chance to be in the best experiences that we can't even imagine how wonderful life can be to exist, just to exist instead of not be. If we didn't exist, nothing would matter because nothing exists. So it's all a big wonderment to me of the hows and whys that life is. So these real universes, that's to focus on these real universes to try to see the view from the real universes, like the sun shining down on the earth and seeing everything that's going on. And anyway, there's so many thoughts, I guess, a person can imagine about why things are the way they are. Does anybody have any? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Hi, Eric here. In regards to what you're saying, Tim, I think in regards to the situation why things are, the way I see it, I think it's less that things are right or wrong. You know what I mean? I just think things are because of the individual and collective choices of everyone, and then just that throughout the process of creation, just coming about, and things are how they are now because of the choices everyone's made collectively and individually.
Yeah, I see that, what you're saying, Eric, but it seems like unless we touch our finger to the hot stove, we don't know what it feels like, or we haven't had that experience to make the choice whether to touch it or not. So it seems like we have to go through certain experiences, whether it's through the real universal guides actually guiding us to go through different experiences, to see the difference, so that we know not to touch the hot stove, or we make our decision because now we know, instead of just not knowing.
Yeah, Tim, that's a good point, but it's not necessarily knowing, it's more like recognition is what I see. So if somebody told you, say you'd never seen a pot before, say you lived in a planet where you never heated things up and it was always warm and you never needed to warm things, but then you saw someone heating up a pot and you went to touch it and they told you, don't touch that, it will burn you. You're you know, and there's like 3 other people sitting around this guy, and they all say, yeah, that'll burn you, then you're probably going to take their word for it. You see, it's like we can see what's going on with the planet now with the chemtrails and all these things, and some people, you know, they're not really paying attention, that they're getting burnt, so to speak, like as if they were touching a pot, because there's already chemtrails in the sky, and you know, there's geoengineering, there's HARP, there's 5G coming out, all these things are coming out, and we can see and recognize what they really are, so we don't need to experience them like, you know, all these other people that are deciding to just go along with it. We can decide to not go along with it and not agree with it, because we recognize it doesn't make any sense if you see my view. So what I'm saying is it doesn't have to get any worse before we can decide, we can recognize what's really taking place. We can decide to do something now, which is what we're doing with these radio shows, with our Skype calls, and everything we're doing as wonderful worldwide educators. But other people, a lot of other people, they're not doing anything, even though it's right in front of them. So, yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, you're right. Some people, they don't, it's almost like they can't recognize what makes sense or what is really taking place, and so they're just going to keep doing what they've always done, but without recognizing what they've always done is agreed to the demise of everything here in creation. So now is the time for people to really pay attention, or not, but it's a cool opportunity with so many of us here doing something for others to just take part in, and to get beyond all their restrictions and everything they've always done for so many lifetimes. And in a way, that's what we're here for, is to give people this opportunity, and whether they recognize it or not is up to them. But, you know, as long as it takes, we're here, and we'll do what makes sense, and we'll see what happens.
Do you think that the way the real guides see us, and they see who's ready? Well, what makes us ready? Isn't it all these experiences that we come to know that we don't want to be that way, because of the cause creates the effect, and we don't like the effects of certain things we do. And when we've learned enough about all these things that we've done cause to happen in our lives, then we reap our effects, and we find out what we like and what we don't like. Is that something that is what is making a person ready? Like the population of the earth at this time, maybe there's 100 people out of 7 billion or something that are ready, maybe more by the day. I don't know what this, the real guide's vision is of how they see who's ready to be presenting their real guidance to the real education, to get out of these psych realms that we've had enough of it. We're only supposed to have come here for a certain short time for what? The experiences? To get ready so that we can be in the real universes? So does anybody have an idea what makes us ready?
Well,
and
what I see
why the majority of Earth isn't?
Well,
this
yeah.
is Claudia in Texas.
Okay, go ahead, Claudia. Sorry.
Yeah, hi, Claudia.
I think. Hi. First of all, thank you for doing this show. It's really an interesting topic that you present. And I think what makes us ready is when we get to the point where we don't need it, whatever it is. We don't need to rush to work. We don't need to have to do extra labor just to survive. We can be calm and relaxed and not have to dash about in our everyday lives. I think that helps makes us ready. I'm not sure, but I know that when we finally get home and are able to relax, we become more open to thoughts that we did not see before. And especially at night, I practice singing the New You song, New You, 15 minutes before bed, and ask questions that I need an answer for. And sometimes it appears in the dreams I have that night, or maybe the next day I find a book or watch a TV show or even talk with a friend, and information comes through. So what makes us ready? Our ability to relax and not be frightened out of our wits over strange and unusual sights. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Claudia, for that view.